Hi, I'm Susan. Welcome to Tea and Games. I keep forgetting to say what tea I'm drinking. Tea today is Yorkshire Gold. Welcome to new subscribers. Boy, you picked a real whopper of a video to subscribe to join into, because we had a wild weekend gaming. We've got 86 subscribers. I am thankful for all of you. I'd like to kind of hit 100 by September 21st, because that's the 1-year anniversary of when I started the channel, and I just kind of think it would be cool. So thanks for subscribing. My husband's Robert, and I are casual weekend board gamers. This is not a professional board game review channel. This is, if you're looking for that, there's lots of good ones. But this isn't it. I just talk about board games. Robert will never appear on the videos because he doesn't want to. I don't get free games from publishers or anything like that. I just talk about what we're playing and what I want to play and other board game kind of topics. Lately, I've been thinking about the whole Forbidden thing, because this Forbidden Sky is the third game in the Forbidden series. We both loved Forbidden Island and Forbidden Desert. We like those a lot. We adore those games. So I've kind of been keeping an eye out for a copy of Forbidden Sky, which is out of print. And I finally snagged one, and this weekend we finally played it. Just in time to also play the brand spanking new, and this is something really special for this channel. We played a brand new, just released game, which I have to tell you, for those of you who are not familiar with this channel, this is an unusual thing. We have never played a brand new, just released game and done a video on it. Because we're tending to work through backlog of unplayed games, or playing favorite games, or playing random stuff, and it's like, and I don't tend to buy the hotness. I'm just not really into the hotness. I'm more into the rapidly cooling leftovers. But yeah, we played both of the Forbidden games. We did not play them back to back, which is what I had initially thought that I wanted to do until I played Forbidden Sky, and then I said, no, we're not playing them back to back. But first, let me talk about a few other things that we played this weekend. We did Forbidden Sky on Saturday. And for those of you that are tracking my Starfinder adventures, Starfinder Saturday was canceled. So Forbidden Sky on Saturday, and then we followed it with, I played a solo version of Ugly Griffin Inn on the brand new coffee table, and it does just barely fit, particularly if you don't play very well. I didn't use any of the expansions, though I do have all the expansions, and I do like them. And after Forbidden Jungle on Sunday, we played Herbaceous, because I was looking at the Board Game Stats app, and I realized that we had not played Herbaceous at all this year. So yeah, I just started tracking my stats in Board Game Stats app starting this January. So I've now got kind of a record of stuff, and it's turning up some interesting numbers. But we played this. We're a little rusty, but we did okay. And also on Saturday, we played a game of Parks. Just a beautiful, nice game. We did not do the Nightfall expansion again, which we should have, but I was just totaled after Forbidden Sky, and I didn't feel like rolling in anything that's still kind of new to us, because we've only just started playing with Nightfall. So anyhow, about that Forbidden Sky thing, they're trying to thematically tie all of these games together. So when we last left our intrepid adventurers, they had built an airship in Forbidden Desert and flown off, apparently to a floating platform. I actually thought this was set on an alien planet, but no, apparently it's here, unless all of these are on an alien planet. But yes, it's a floating platform, and what you need to do, and yes, that rocket ship is accurate. There's a rocket ship in here. What you need to do is you need to connect where are they? Yeah, wire bundles, which are magnetic. Yes, I know, I dropped it. I drop things in these videos. I fumble. They've got little magnets and metal pieces, and you connect them to capacitors, little things there, and along the tiles, as you lay the tiles, you create little capacitor spots and wire spots. Theoretically, that's what you do. And then you connect them by wires, and you connect the wires to the larger platform with the metal top that the rocket ship sits on. The rocket ship lights up, you blast off, and you've won the game. It's a co-op game. We did not win the game. Well, there were a number of problems. First of all, we just had a hard time figuring out what we were supposed to do and how to do it, because every game in the Forbidden series is just a little bit trickier, a little bit harder than the previous game. Forbidden Sky is very different from Desert and Island. If you played Island and then you played Desert, you can look at this and you're going like, oh yes, this is a souped up version of Desert with like this new sandstorm mechanic that's kind of cool. But Sky is a completely different thing. You're laying down tiles, you're creating capacitors on the tiles. Let me see if I can find a tile to show you what I mean. Yeah, when you put the tiles together, whoa, and you make one of these little round things, that's a small capacitor. There are also large capacitors, and how many capacitors you use is determined by the number of people that are playing, and you have to use up all of the capacitors and all of the little lightning rods assigned to you to connect all of those things together, and then connect all of the things to the rocket and make it light up. We didn't even come close. I mean, we just didn't. I had a hard time visualizing what we were supposed to do. And I mean, you don't have the landing pad tiles immediately. You have to draw them. So I started off with a landing pad tile. And then we drew tiles and we drew tiles and we drew tiles, and we're making things and we're laying down capacitors, but we don't actually know where we're going to be connecting it to. We got some of our capacitors next to that one landing pad tile, but then we just kept drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing and getting shocked and losing health, because you can get shocked if you're close to one of these electric thingies. And there's health points on the adventurer tiles. And I just finally said, where are the landing pad tiles? We need the landing pad tiles, because we just keep, and there's a hand limit of 3 tiles, which means that you can't just draw tiles until you get the landing pad tiles, and then you start planning out your grid, which would have been really nice, because this game needs a huge amount of planning. You have got to be able to visualize what you're doing and plan it all very carefully. But you can only hold 3 tiles at a time, and then you got to lay them down, whether you've got stuff that's going to be good to lay down in a spot or not. And that was our problem, because we got up to our hand limit on tiles with the 2 of us very, very quickly. And we were laying down tiles, and we were trying to kind of plan for putting things together. And we laid down capacitors, but then we ended up with some capacitors that ended up not being able to connect, even with the longer wire. And it was just a complete mess. I mean, just a mess. We're going to give it another try now that we have a better sense of what we're doing. But also, like I said, we just weren't drawing landing pad tiles. So finally, we were like halfway through the tile deck, and things were just going downhill very fast. I was going to be dead soon at the rate things were going. So I just picked up the stack of tiles and started flipping through the bottom and looking, and all of the rest of the landing pad tiles, you need 4, and there are more than 4 tiles in the stack. All of them were at the bottom or near the bottom, like in the bottom that many tiles. They were just, and I shuffled the tiles. I shuffled them really, really well, but the tile distribution still just completely screwed us. So that was just a disaster, and it was not fun at all. But I think the next game will be better. This was just so very different from Island and Desert. And this game is out of print. And I don't know, maybe with the 4th game in the series just now coming out, they'll bring it back into print. It's the only game with an electronic component. It has a little battery in the rocket, because the rocket will light up. And because this was an old game, I mean, I brought it new, but I'm guessing the copy I found was probably like in a warehouse somewhere, because the rocket didn't light up. I mean, after the game, we connected everything up because we just wanted to see the rocket light, and it did not light. The battery was dead, so we have to change out the battery. And the glue had dried up on a couple of capacitors that we didn't use, so we had to re-glue the capacitors, like the little metal plate on the plastic. So it was an old game. It's an old game, and it was kind of old in the box. So we're gonna have to, we had to re-glue the capacitors. We're gonna get a new battery, and we're gonna give it another shot. But Sunday, we were just so wrecked after that's when we just decided, okay, I'm gonna show Robert how to play Ugly Griffin Inn. So I did a solo thing of that, and then we played Parks, and then in the evening we went to the family birthday shindig. And we played Here to Slay with the family. And I didn't win. I never win that game, but I mean, I enjoy playing. It's just one of those fun little games. But Sunday was Forbidden Jungle. This is the fourth game in the Forbidden Spirit series, and this truly is the spiritual successor to Forbidden Island and Forbidden Desert. If you like Island and if you like Desert, you're going to look at this and you're going to say, oh, this looks really familiar, but much harder. And yes, this is much harder, but it is fun in the exact same way that Island and Desert is fun. So if you enjoy the process of playing Island and Desert, there is a very good chance you will enjoy this one too. You see, and also they've gone back to the tin box that they're in. Forbidden Sky was in like a big standard sized cardboard box. Okay, the rocket ship that took off in Forbidden Sky, theoretically took off in Forbidden Sky, has now landed on an alien planet where there are creatures. And the production quality on this is just stunning. It's just really good. The game is beautiful, and the little doohickeys are beautiful too. These are little hatchlings. Yeah, and the hatchlings cannot bite you or sting you. These are little alien eggs, and the eggs likewise are innocuous. They are even still innocuous when they hatch out into hatchlings. But what you gotta watch out for are the adult aliens. The adult aliens have stingers. They are octopus-looking creatures, and okay, I do have one quibble with this. They don't stand up very well on the board. Let me see if I can get a good look at those there. You can see the little feet here. They're actually in more of an oblong sort of configuration rather than being round. So consequently, they kept falling over. And at one point, it's like we're being killed by little alien octopus creatures that are all laying over sideways on the board because we kept bumping at things and knocking them over. And you have your adventurer tokens. You also have cobwebs. Now, the cobwebs are not harmful, but when you have to lay webs at the edge of tiles, and the webs are laid at the edge of tiles with adults, I believe it's adults, yeah. When you have to lay tiles, then that means that blocks off movement on and off of that tile where there is a web on that side. But you can clear webs, you can clear the hatchlings, and you can clear the aliens. And we did a really, really good job of clearing out aliens and hatchlings. But the threat cards, and yes, like the other ones, this is 2-player, this is bigger players, and you have, oh gosh, you can see here, we got up very high on the threat level. We got up to 4 on the threat level. You can see here that you can start, we did it at novice, and you can set difficulty levels here. I think we're going to be on the novice level for a while. But yeah, and it's got these little bracket things here. They grip better than the ones in Forbidden Sky, which kind of kept our health meter kept falling off. It's like, but yeah, these will mark the level on this of the threat, and you draw more cards as the threat level goes up, just like in the other game, Desert and Island. These are the gear cards, and there are some very, very good gear cards in this thing. These are the threat cards, which I will talk about those in a minute. But in addition to the gear cards, there's one really neat thing about this that we liked a lot. The tiles that you lay out a tile configuration, and by the way, they have a card that has alternate tile configurations. So in addition to upping the difficulty level, there is also another way to change up the game. You can alter the starting configuration. You're going to have these crystals. They need to power a portal. Oh, I turned up a portal tile. The portal tiles, some of them are on tunnels, some are on nest, and the crystal tiles here, not all the crystal tiles are active. There are some crystal, oh yes, this is what the portal looks like on a nest tile. But some of the crystal tiles, oh yes, and we're back to Fool's Landing, which was the name of the starting tile in Forbidden Island, which I thought was a nice little callback there. The rocket ship lands on that. Let's see if I can find one of the, see, some of the crystal tiles are dead. If you turn those over, they're not going to power the portal. You need to have the live crystal tiles orthogonally adjacent to a portal tile in order to win the game. And you do have tiles that will allow you to, let me turn over the tiles here. Where are they? I'm not finding the tiles I need. Yes, configurator tiles. And this is what I really like. In other games, you kind of have to depend upon those gear cards, and once they're used, they're kind of gone unless you get a tile, unless you get a card that says you can pick up another card or something. But this allows you to move the tiles. So at various points in the game, the grid thing, because there are open spaces, and there is a card, a threat card that makes sections collapse. So you'll have more open spaces. But it kind of becomes a little bit of a slider puzzle because you need to move the tiles around using the configurator tile here in order to position the crystal tiles orthogonally adjacent to a portal tile. But the other thing is they have other, and this one you can actually get a gear card on. They have other machines on some of the things. Tunnels allow you to move from one place to another. Also, hatchlings come out of tunnels. But you also have machines that are on the tiles, which can allow you to do things. The compeller allows you to move aliens, adults, and hatchlings one adjacent square. And we use that in combination with the electrifier. Any creature that moves into this is instantly vaporized. It's like a giant bug zapper tile. So, and we have a couple of compeller tiles. I think there may be only one bug zapper tile, but you're probably not going to lose that, because when I told you that there are like collapsing areas, so you lose certain tiles, the determination of what tile disappears is by the number that's on the tile, starting with the lowest, which means Fool's Landing, which is always out there. It will be the first tile gone. So that helps, because you may eventually lose something like configurator number 6. And there's also the destruct switch tile, which allows you to just destroy a tile and everything on it. These are numbers 2 and 3, so you'll lose those pretty quickly. But you got to be careful about just saying, oh, well, that tile is like got a bunch of stuff on it, let's just blow it up, because it could be something that you need, or that would be really useful. So you've got to kind of make that determination. Okay, we have looked at these. The workshop tile gets you 2 gear things, but it does not actually have a machine on it. It just gets you 2 gear cards. Oh yes, there's another compeller. Yeah, I think there's 3 compellers, but there's only 1 electrifier. What a shame. But anyhow, let's look at these threat cards. Adult spin webs. And the red dot here, that tells you what side of the tile to put the webs on. I don't know if you can see this. Let me stretch up here and see. On the edges of the tiles, you have shapes and colors. The shapes will be helpful for people who are colorblind, but there's like black, yellow, red, blue, triangle, star, circle, square. And that tells you what side to put the webs on for the adult spin webs threat card. And like I said, if you've got webs on that kind, then that means that you're not going to be able to enter or leave that tile through the webs. Now, the aliens can move through the webs, and the webs will be broken when the tile moves if you use the configurator to move tiles and that whole slider puzzle thing. You also have adults emerge, and that would be you would put adults on the portal tiles. There are, I think, 4 portal tiles. We blew one of them up because it had a whole bunch of stuff on it. Let's see, move hatchlings and adults. And again, this has to do with these little colored squares. When you get the move hatchlings and adults and you get and you see like a blue square there, then that means they move in the direction of the blue square. At least that's how we interpreted the rules. I'm not going to swear that everything I tell you is exactly accurate, but that's the way we played it. But yeah, and the threat cards, they have things where you would be moving for red or yellow or black or something like that. We have hatching tiles in which all of the eggs on the board turn into hatchlings. Hatchlings do not bite or sting. Eggs turn into hatchlings. This is the collapse tile, and remove the lowest number tile and everything on it. So, and adventurers on the tile have to move to an adjacent tile. And of course, we have the ubiquitous threat rises tile where you move up on the threat level, and those numbers on the side are the number of threat cards you draw at the end of every time you take a turn. Adult spin webs. Spawn. You would add 1 egg next to every adult on the board. And this is a move hatchlings and adults. A move hatchlings and adults with a gold star. So like I said, that's how they move. There's a threat card where you turn all the hatchlings into adults. And there's a card where hatchlings come out of tunnels, so you will put the hatchlings on all of the tunnel tiles. I think there's a half dozen tunnels, but we didn't have them all turned over at any given time. We had a few tiles that were not turned over. Eggs discover, we add 1 egg to every nest. Now, nest tiles look like this. I mean, and nest is the background, basically. This is a dead crystal. This is a nest with a live crystal. This is a nest with a portal. So nest tiles they're never just a nest. They're always tiles that do other things as well. Let's see what else adult spin webs. And this is move hatchlings and adults with the red. Adult spin webs, and this is adult spin webs with the gold star, where you put the webs on the gold star side. And this is the second threat rises thing. This is the threat rises and shuffle. This works differently than island and desert. You shuffle the threat discard and then you put it on the bottom. You don't just shuffle the discard into the main deck. Which I believe is the way it's done on island and desert, but you shuffle the discard pile here and then you put it underneath the main pile. So you're still not going to be getting those things right away. You just don't know the order in which you're going to be getting them. The players can remove 1 web and tile. Let me see here. Yeah. Backside. This is one thing I don't like about these games, and that is that if you don't have a health meter, you're fine, because you can just flip it over on the backside, gives your movements. But on this game and Forbidden Sky, you have a health meter, and so if the health meter is not a tight fit, which none of them were in Forbidden Sky, though all of them seem to grip pretty well, the ones we used for this game, when you flip it over, you risk moving your health meter by accident. But each adventurer has a different special power and ability. We played which one did we play? we played the Chemist and the Spelunker. I thought that playing the Spelunker would be good because when you're using the tunnel, you can move to any tile. It works like the jetpack does. And I actually wanted to play the Biologist because the Biologist can remove all the hatchlings and adults from the tile that they're on. And Robert played the Chemist, which he can remove all the web tokens or all the eggs from the tile that he's on. And he's also immune to stings. But he talked me out of being the Biologist because the Biologist actually has the lowest health of any of them, and we just were not sure how good we would be at avoiding getting stings, and our health was really an issue in Forbidden Sky. So they have a player aid card which tells you the features of all of the different tiles, tunnels, nest porters, and what all the different machines do. But the backside of these cards give you the order of the play. You can move to an adjacent tile, but you can't move through webs. You can remove one adult, one hatchling, one egg, or one web from your tile. Not all of them, just pick one. You can, besides moving, you can then flip over the tile that you're on, not an adjacent tile. Some games have adjacent tile things. Only the tile you're on can be explored and flipped over. But you can only flip it over as long as it doesn't have anything on it. If it's got adults, hatchlings, eggs, webs, you can't do it. Or you can operate a machine on the tile that you're on. And the machines, like I said, in addition to the gear cards, the machines were just a really neat feature. And we liked the slider puzzle of it. So how did we do? Oh man, we got our heads handed to us. I mean, we lost bad, but it was a 2.5-hour game, which this game should not have been a 2.5-hour game, but we just fought and fought and fought. We did not make it very far in the slider puzzle aspect of this, but we did a really good job of clearing tiles of adults and hatchlings and eggs. We got kind of behind the curve on webs at one point, and you will lose the game if you run out of components to put down, and that's how we lost, is we ran out of webs. But I mean, we realized we were starting to get low on webs, so we started being very diligent about clearing webs, but then that meant we kind of got underwater, so to speak, like over our heads with the adults and hatchlings and eggs and stuff. So we had one massive spawning and everything, and then we ran out of webs, but for most of the game we were doing a really excellent job of dealing with the little plastic threats on the board. Less well at hand at clearing webs, but the webs tended to all be clustered on certain tiles. It's like we could kind of keep them cleared from a lot of the tiles we were using, but then there were a couple of tiles around the fringes where they just got webs piled up like all around the edges in stacks. But we fought for 2.5 hours before we just finally lost because we were just smothered in webbing. But we enjoyed the heck out of this. I mean, we really, really did. This was just a great, great game. And we are going to be playing this again. I think it will go faster next time, either because we are going to, we're either going to lose more quickly, because we're obviously going to have to do some things strategically better, because we really didn't make nearly as much progress on the whole moving tiles slider puzzle thing of getting things into the right configuration as we should have. But yeah, we really got the hang of it, and we loved it. We enjoyed it. And I would say that if you like desert and if you like island, and you want to try something that is a bit more challenging. Oh, who am I kidding? This is quite a bit more challenging. I would definitely recommend giving this game a look. It's brand new. And when I say brand new, I mean, I think it was probably a Gen Con release or something, because I couldn't find it before Gen Con, and afterwards somebody was saying, yes, we found it, we got it, it's here. So we went to our local Barnes & Noble and picked it up, like as soon as we found out it was available. But we love the heck out of it. If you like co-op games, challenging co-op games, and if you like the Forbidden series of games, This is one that you should definitely look for. It's a lot of fun. It calls on a lot of the same skills that you would need either for the other Forbidden games or also for other co-op games. The mechanisms work very, very well. And like I said, it's got a lot of good stuff in it. I like the fact that the tiles have uses and you can use them. It's like over and over again. To help you achieve your goals in addition to those gear cards. And we did a good job of leveraging the gear cards as best we could. There's one gear card that allows you to give somebody a gear card anytime you want, as long as you've still got that gear card. And there's another one that allows you to pull stuff out of the discard pile, a gear card out of the discard pile, and you play that into discard and you take one out of the discard that you want. And that one came in very handy too, because that essentially meant that one of our valuable gear cards was able to be used twice. And the other one meant that we didn't have to be on the same tile. So we could be working on things in different areas of the board. This is a fun one. It really is a fun one. And it looks great. And the quality of the components is it's just superb. And we just had a great time on this. We're going to be playing this again. We're going to be playing it more. We will do Forbidden Sky again. But we're going to play Forbidden Jungle like much sooner than that because we had a great time. And when you're going like, oh my God, you played a 2.5 hour game in this game. What does it say? The time limit, the time for this game is given on the box is 45 minutes. But I mean, we just fought and fought and fought and fought. But you're going like, oh God, that sounds like hell. But we were really enjoying it. We were really, really enjoying it. And I just lost all track of time. When the game was over and I was putting things up and Robert looked at the clock and he said that that we had been playing for 2.5 hours, I was shocked. I had no idea that amount of time had passed. And that is a sign of a good game. When you can play a game that long and you are so absorbed in the game, you lose all track of time. I do think, though, I do think that this is a game that you could lose very quickly because you really got to manage stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that you need to manage. But I don't think that this is a game that you could win quickly unless you just got really, really lucky with some of the tiles and where you needed to move them to. Like what tiles had the configurator on them and what had the destruct and what you could do to move things around. But I don't know. I suspect that this probably isn't a 45-minute game, particularly with more than 2 players, because we played it at 2. But at the same time, so I mean, if you're scheduling this in a game day, don't schedule it in tight for that 45 minutes because this is the kind of game that could sprawl. It could go longer. Or it could be really, really short because you start going through those threat cards at a more rapid rate when you have more players. And also as the threat level rises, then you start getting more cards. So you're going through that deck a lot more quickly again. So, and it's hard to keep your head above water, so to speak. It's hard to keep your head above the alien nest, when those threat cards keep coming out. It is a tough co-op. I will say that. It is a tough co-op, but the gameplay is enjoyable enough that we just didn't mind getting our heads handed to us. But that is what we played this weekend, and it was just an amazing gaming experience, and it was fun. I mean, win or lose, a game has to be fun, and Forbidden Jungle, fun, very fun. If you like co-op, it's huge amounts of fun. So, yeah, but tough. Keep in mind, it's tough, but it looks great, too. So anyhow, what have you been playing this weekend, and are you interested in any of the games in the Forbidden series? We like Island, Desert, and Jungle. We're a little about Forbidden Sky, but yeah, drop me a comment about anything I've mentioned here, and I will chat with you in comments. I like chatting with nice people in comments, so be nice people and comment. Thank you all for subscribing and for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time around the table. Bye.